In this video, we'll be taking a look at 2 college football games happening on December 31st, 2022, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 2 picks for each game, 4 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 2 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive betting picks to take your sports betting journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer anywhere from 1 betting pick a day up to 10 betting picks a day and much more. Now let's get started. Iowa versus Kentucky. The Iowa Hawkeyes and the Kentucky Wildcats meet Saturday, December 31st in college football Music City Bowl action from Nissan Stadium. The Hawkeyes are coming off a loss to Nebraska. As for Kentucky, they beat Louisville in their last outing. Iowa finished the season at 7-5 after losing to Nebraska in the Heroes game. The Hawkeyes had their 4-game winning streak snapped after failing to rally against the Huskers. Iowa scores 17 points per game, while passing for 158.2 yards per game and rushing for 96.8 yards per game. The Hawkeye defense allowed 14 points per game. Iowa moved on from Spencer Petras in the Nebraska game, and with the 12-game starter entering the transfer portal, Alex Padilla is set to get the call again in Nashville. Padilla brings 10 games of experience to the lineup, and he threw for 141 yards and a touchdown in the regular season finale. Caleb Johnson picked things up down the stretch and finished as the Hawkeyes' leading rusher with 757 yards and 6 touchdowns. Senior tight end led the pedestrian passing attack with 53 receptions and 601 receiving yards. Kentucky also closed the season at 7-5 after defeating Louisville in the Governor's Cup. The Wildcats jumped on their arch rivals early and walked away with a 13-point victory. Kentucky scores 22 points per game, while passing for 261.1 yards per game and rushing for 120.3 yards per game. The Wildcat defense allowed 19 points per game. Will Levis will make the business decision and forego facing a fierce Iowa defense here. Very wise decision for the surefire first-round pick, and it begins a new journey at the quarterback position for the Bluegrass. True freshman Kaya Sharon started against SC back in October and threw a pair of touchdowns but took 6 sacks. Kentucky will also be without 2-time leading rusher Chris Rodriguez, meaning the offense may really be hindered coming back into Nashville. The Hawkeyes are 3-0-1 against the spread in their last 4 bowl games and 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 overall. Iowa is 4-1 against the spread versus a team with a winning record. Meanwhile, the Wildcats are 4-1 against the spread in the last 6 versus the Big Ten and 19-5-2 against the spread versus a team with a winning record. Kentucky is 3-1 against the spread in their last 5 bowl games. The Iowa Hawkeyes take on the Kentucky Wildcats in the Music City Bowl in Nashville, Tennessee. Iowa has been statistically one of the worst offenses in FBS football. They average 17 points and 255.4 yards per game. Kentucky's offense was better than the Hawkeyes, but not by much. They only averaged 22 points and 336 yards per game. Both teams will also be without their starting quarterbacks, who have entered the transfer portal and declared for the draft. They are not the only players who will be missing in this game. Both teams have over 12 players who are injured or have entered the transfer portal. It's going to be a skeleton crew on both sides for this game, but it should still be an interesting matchup. As far as handicapping this game, Kentucky has played 1 game without Will Levis, their starting quarterback, this season. It was a 24-14 loss to South Carolina. Iowa has not played a game this year without Spencer Petras, their starting quarterback. This game will also be a rematch of last year's Citrus Bowl, where Kentucky won 20-17. This game should end similarly. Despite missing players, Kentucky still has a lot of talent on its roster, and their head coach, Mark Stoops, has been to 6 straight bowl games and won their last 4 in a row. They have the talent and coaching experience and will be playing this game only 3.5 hours from campus. So the Kentucky Wildcats to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The total in this game is the lowest of all the bowl games this season. As I have mentioned, both of these offenses will be missing key players, and that will hinder them, but that is also true on the defensive side of the ball. Both of these teams allowed on average over 14 points per game on defense, and without some key players, they both could allow 21 plus. With a total this low, both offenses would have to play horribly, or both defenses would have to play incredibly and statistically, which is not likely. This total is entirely too low. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. Kansas State versus Alabama. Number 5 Alabama will be trying to overcome a litany of player opt-outs when it faces number 9 Kansas State in the Sugar Bowl on Saturday afternoon. The Crimson Tide narrowly missed out on the college football playoff after losing 2 times during the regular season. Kansas State picked up a 31-28 win over TCU in overtime in the Big 12 title game. Alabama comes into this game with a 10-2 record overall, and they have gone 6-6 against the spread. In the last game against Auburn, Alabama scored 49 points, and that led to the 22-point victory. Bryce Young completed 20 of his 30 passes for 343 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Jahmyr Gibbs rushed 17 times for 76 yards and a touchdown. Alabama is averaging 41 points, while their defense is giving up 18 points per game. The offense is 4th best in college football. Treshaun Holden, Christian Leary, J.O. Earl, Trey Sanders, Kyrie Jackson, Amory Knight, Tommy Brockermeyer, Damian George, Javian Cohen, Braylon and Graham have all opted out of this game. On the other side of this matchup is Kansas State, who sits with a 10-3 record overall, and they have gone 9-3-1 against the spread so far this season. The Wildcats' last game came in the Big 12 championship game, and they were able to secure a 31-28 victory in overtime. Will Howard had a solid game, completing 18 of his 32 passes for 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Deuce Vaughn rushed 26 times for 130 yards and a touchdown. Kansas State is averaging 33 points, while their defense is giving up 20 points per game. Kansas State doesn't appear to have any opts out for this game. Kansas State is 33-16-2 against the spread in their last 51 games overall and 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 neutral site games, while the under is 5-2 in their last 7 non-conference games. Alabama is 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 games against the Big 12 and 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 games against a team with a winning record, while the under is 4-0-1 in their last 5 bowl games. Kansas State has been one of the most driven and dialed-in teams all season. They have frequently surpassed expectations, and the team has a never-say-die attitude about them. I expect the Wildcats will look to move the ball on the ground and involve their playmakers in creative run plays to keep the pass rush off Howard. While the Alabama offense has been very good this year, they showed their weaknesses at times, being able to execute on key drives, particularly in the red zone. Kansas State's rushing attack is dynamic, and with Vaughn in the backfield, the offense can be very difficult to prep for. I get the case to be made for Alabama laying points here, but we've already seen the line drop from the open, and I think it's going to continue to drop. I have to think that motivation, or a lack thereof, will be at play for Alabama after what they would consider a disappointing season after not reaching the college football playoffs. And one also has to wonder how many opt-outs we see for guys like Bryce Young, Will Anderson, and Jahmyr Gibbs. I haven't seen any opt-outs for Kansas State, and that continuity is going to be big for Chris Kleeman's group here. Just the opts-out show a perfect example of who might be motivated for this team. Alabama has many opts-out, while Kansas State has 0. Deuce Vaughn is going to have a big game against the Alabama defense, and Kansas State is going to find a ton of success with their offense in this game. Alabama will get their points in the matchup, but I do not expect their defense to answer the call against the Wildcats, who should keep this within a touchdown. So the Kansas State to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Because neither defense is playing its best football coming into the Sugar Bowl, this could be one of the most exciting games of the season. Kansas State ranked outside the top 50 in passing yards and rushing yards allowed per game, which does not bode well against a Heisman Trophy winning offense. Alabama's run defense struggled in the final 3 games, allowing an average of 231.3 yards per game. With Vaughn, Kansas State has one of the most potent rushing attacks in the country, so this is likely to be a shootout. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.